Fox News political analyst, Washington Times columnist, Jeff Birnbaum on 710 KURV. Happy Monday, Jeff. How are you?
Hi, Sergio. How are you?
Good. Michigan or Louisville tonight? What do you say?
I'm thinking Michigan.
See. Now we have something else to talk about with Jeff. See, all three of us are going with Louisville tonight.
I sort of thought that way, and I know that you like me because I'm contrary.
Yeah, just for the sake to be spiteful, right? You're going with Michigan, right?
No, just to be correct.
Okay, you putting some money on that or what?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No.
Let's talk about job creation or the lack thereof. What happened in the last jobs report? What are the talking heads talking? What are the talking heads mentioning up in D.C.?
Well, it's not just in D.C. It's the Wall Street had the same view that even though the unemployment rate declined slightly by a tenth of a percentage point to 7.6%, everything else about the jobs numbers that came out Friday for March were bad. Only 88,000 new jobs were created. That was half the number that were expected by economists, and the economists' expectations were basically half of what was needed to keep pace with growth in the population. So really, as the Wall Street Journal called it, was only a trickle of new jobs. But worse than that, Sergio, was that about 500,000 people in this country simply stopped looking for work in March.
Yeah.
That brought to the lowest percentage in 34 years the actual percentage of Americans eligible for work who were working. It's down to 63.3% of Americans are actually working, and that really is a number, in my view, that is breathtaking.
Okay, let's look at the political aspects of this. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised that the left is not screaming bloody murder from the top of all the roofs in D.C. and New York, blaming the Republicans. It's the sequester fight. It's the budget cuts. Look what they have done to the country. They're sending us into another economic slowdown.
Well, there are those who are saying that, yes, the sequester is a problem for economic growth, that even the doubts about whether Washington can get its act together would be enough to make employers around the country hesitate about hiring that new person, because who knows what those crazy people in Washington might do. There is such an argument going on there, but there is not any solution in the short term that's seriously being discussed in Washington. So tainted, I think, was the stimulus program of a few years ago. While it helped in the short run, that money has mostly run out, and so has its benefit. To the extent there's talk about taxes, it's mostly by the president to raise taxes, which nobody thinks is really a solution to improving economic growth or creating more jobs.
Do you find it surprising that the president is not continuing to ride the Keynesian train, demanding more federal spending, investments, and all that jazz?
He is. Just so you know, he is. He has called publicly for more infrastructure spending for roads and bridges and such, and that would create jobs. So that's a kind of mini stimulus program. And we are likely to see on Wednesday, when he puts I guess it's fair to say, when he finally puts his budget out, that there will be calls for some additional spending as well.
I guess it's not as dominant as before. Now, on the right, I'm surprised not to be hearing from free market advocates the need for the private sector to retain its capital to purchase the big-ticket items that will create jobs. No one's out there championing that very simple message.
I think that's right, in part because there is a conflict on the right of the political spectrum about whether the priority should be deficit reduction or should be tax cutting. And the only place they come together, I think, are on tax reform, which would lower tax rates, but also eliminate some
subsidies,
deductions
loopholes,
and credits. And most on the right believe that could actually raise more revenue because of more economic growth, while at the same time not giving away special interest break.
Fox News political analyst Jeff Birnbaum, our guest on 710 KURV.
Jeff, Tim Sullivan here. Good morning.
Good morning, Tim.
And Democrats are saying, what we're seeing here is, typical right-wing freakout over what is likely, just a blip in terms of the unemployment numbers rising. But if you look at the whole of the economy, I mean, the majority of the indicators are up. Housing, new home construction is up. Existing home sales are up. Factory orders on the rise. Forecasts for more hiring are good. What's the response to that?
Well, I think that is the response to that is on the other side is that we've seen this pattern before, where there are promising signs of economic growth in the early part of the year, only to have that stall when spring comes around. And the leading indicator of that is an anemic job growth number, which we've now seen for 2 months in a row. So I sincerely hope that you're correct, that the unemployment rate is not the most important indicator, although I have to say that for a lot of Americans, a jobless economic recovery is not the best news.
Jeff, thank you much. Happy Monday. We'll talk with you next week, see what happened in the NCAA Finals. It's 8:19, the Valley's Morning News on 710 KURV.